with the main chip washers. It's real talk. Man, it's real talk with your main chip Washington. When it comes to information, the main got an arsenal. Bring you up to speed with what you need. He's the local and nationwide news feed. Let's talk about it. Dialect to do something about it. Chip got the flow wide open if you got questions about it. Man, it's the show that brings you to your raw. To solve all problems, it starts with real talk. It's 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 real talk. Yeah. Welcome to Real Talk with your host, Chip Washington. It's real talk. It's real talk. It's real talk. Hey.
All right, so let's get to some news and notes. I don't know if you all were aware of it, but you know the Family Safety Center of Memphis and Shelby County has closed suddenly. We didn't get a lot of advance notice on that, and we don't really know why they closed. That center has been a resource for victims, and especially dealing with domestic violence in this community since 2012, so it's been around a while. In the wake of that closure, the Shelby County Crime Victims and Rape Crisis Center will continue to provide those services for victims of domestic violence. All right, so we talked a little bit about this at the time. We'll be talking more about it in a couple of minutes. But a Memphis lawmaker, State Representative Mark White, says he's moving forward with his legislation calling for a takeover of the Memphis and Shelby County School Board and the district following a controversial move by the board to fire Superintendent Marie Fagans back in December. This is going to be introduced on the floor of the legislature tomorrow. He has met with Representative White has met with the governor and the House and Senate leadership, and all are agreement to move forward with this legislation. He said that this is based on the actions taken in a similar case when the school district in Houston, Texas was taken over. This one would create a 9-member board of managers who would oversee and have supervisory authority over the next, not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 years here in Memphis and Shelby County in order to, quote unquote, right-size the district. Now, this obviously is a controversial deal. Earlier today, we're not 1, but 2 press conferences held by folks who are not happy with this impending move. Earlier this morning, there were 3 of the Shelby County school board members who voted not to remove Dr. Fagans, and some community and civic leaders had a press conference earlier today. Late this afternoon, the Save Our Schools organization, fronted by Ron Redwing, had a press conference as well to talk about all of this and to let everybody know that they're going to be heading up in a caravan tomorrow to Nashville to fight this in the House, the legislative body, to let them know how they feel about this and how many feel in this town about this alleged takeover. They don't want to see it. They don't want to know it. They don't want to have anything to do with it. And they surely don't want the state to take over. We've seen what that looks like, and it doesn't look good. So we'll talk to Ron about his effort and galvanizing the community to back this Save Our Schools effort for those who are not interested in the state taking over. It's interesting how these things happen. You know, we had a little bit of an uproar from the community after Dr. Fagans was removed from her position. And things have sort of quieted down. And now that this situation with the takeover is about to become very real, folks are starting to ratchet up again. But is it too late to have these type of conversations, especially when the folks up in Nashville are determined to move forward? These individuals won't replace the 9 elected officials, and they will be added to the board. They will be the ones who will be making the decisions. All of the decisions based on what is going on in our school district, not the current 9-member board, which makes you wonder, well, what's going to happen to the 9-member school board? Well, nothing. They're elected and they'll be around, but will they have any authority? Don't think so. So this is all becoming very interesting. And as I said before, this is part of a bigger plan to do this for 4 years. And again, this is what happens. Elections have consequences first and foremost, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm speaking of the school board election. Elections have consequences, and for the few of you who decided to show up and put some of these folks in office, on the back end of it, 6 of them out of the 9 said that they didn't want the prior school superintendent to be a part of this anymore. So she's been removed, and a whole lot of folks in the political circles are upset. County commissioners filed a vote of no confidence. You have the community enraged at the time that this happened because they weren't being listened to at all. They pled. They were very demonstrative in their actions, and they weren't heard. So now we are in the process of being taken over, and God only knows how all of this is going to turn out. Sometimes you have to be careful what you wish for because you just might get it. One final note before we move on here, and hopefully I'll be getting my phone call here in a couple of minutes. The Board of County Commissioners is looking to put a 30-day pause on grant making for all commissioners. They have money, grant money to give to various organizations in and around the community that they've been given every year, a certain amount of money to be able to do that. Well, because of what has happened recently with County Commissioner Edwin Ford Jr. And all of the controversy surrounding that in terms of grants, they want to take a pause in all of this and take a look at the procedure and the process that goes along with this. And so we'll see what happens. Now things are being put into question and everything is being looked at. And they feel, the county commission, some feel like their decision-making process is being questioned. So, there you go. Somebody's telling me out there they don't hear anything. I don't know what, if we are they hearing something? I don't know. Okay. Oh, the stream is down too? Okay, so they have to listen to it where, on the radio or whatever? How do people can they hear the show? On FM radio. On FM radio.
And then after we're gonna upload the show.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you can't hear it. There's no streaming. So just go to the radio. Okay, just listen to it on the radio. Actually, my wife said I don't hear anything. So hopefully 91.7 on your FM dial, and you should be able to hear the program live. Okay, and if you're just joining us, as I said earlier, we because of the internet being down in half this building where we are at Crosstown Concourse, we are not able to bring the show to you on Facebook Live or Zoom. So my guests are supposed to be calling in, and we should be able to conduct our interviews through the phone. I'm waiting on Ron Redwing to call me now. So I tell you what, let's do a quick break, Bren. Let's take a quick break, and hopefully he will be back joining me on the other side. This is Real Talk Memphis. I'm Chip. We'll take a quick one. We'll be right back.
If you like Real Talk, here's a way you can get involved. Do you have a show topic idea or suggestion? Want to be considered a guest? or have a guest idea? Then send Chip a message on his Real Talk show page and you can be a part of the Real Talk experience. So as he always says, go out and tell somebody. We'll be right back.
It's real talk. It's real talk. It's real talk. It's real talk.
Memphis Listening Lab proudly supports WYXR. They provide a curated collection of music and music history, a forum for music-related talks and performances, and a music education, appreciation, and experimentation space located in Crosstown Concourse. You can find out more information on their Instagram page at Memphis Listening Lab or on their website at memphislisteninglab.org.
Support for WYXR, including our stereo sessions, comes from Duncan Williams Asset Management, specializing in financial management for individual investors, businesses, nonprofits, and foundations. More information at dwassetmgmt.com.
Support for WYXR comes from Germantown Performing Arts Center, presenting the Sam Grisman Project, the music of Jerry Garcia and David Grisman, on Friday, March 21st. A platform built by Sam Grisman and his friends to showcase their passion and appreciation for the legacy of his father, David Grisman, Jerry Garcia, and other musical icons. Tickets and more information at gpacweb.com.
Support for WYXR comes from West Tennessee Best Buddies, presenting the Memphis Friendship Walk on Saturday, April 5th at the University of Memphis. This free, all-ages community event celebrates Best Buddies programs across West Tennessee with food, games, and opportunities to connect with nonprofits serving people with intellectual and developmental disabilities. More information and registration at bestbuddiesfriendshipwalk.com/Memphis.
Support for WYXR comes from AEG Presents, bringing an evening with Sturgill Simpson, the Who the F is Johnny Blue Skies tour, to Landers Center on April 11th. Tickets and more information at sturgillsimpsonlive.com. Support for WYXR comes from Freedom Prep Academy, celebrating 15 years of academic excellence, preparing all students in grades pre-K through 12 to excel in college and in life. With 5 schools in Westwood and Whitehaven, Freedom Prep is now enrolling for the 2025-26 school year. More information on enrollment at freedomprep.org or 901-498-1849.
Riverbeat Music Festival is coming to Tom Lee Park May 2nd through 4th, featuring artists including Missy Elliott, The Killers, Anderson .Paak and the Free Nationals, and more. The full lineup, ticket packages, and more are available at riverbeat.com.
Want to reach a passionate audience who loves Memphis's arts and music scene? Sponsor WYXR and connect your brand with the city's creative community. More information at wyxr.org/sponsorship.
Get Real Talk on the TuneIn mobile app under WYXR, and he's now streaming live on Facebook. And you can also catch a rebroadcast on YouTube. Just put WYXR in the search box and hit subscribe. Now back to more Real Talk with Chip Washington.
And welcome back to Real Talk Memphis on this Monday evening in the city. Chip with you. Glad to be here. Glad to have you out where you are now. We've had the building in which we broadcast here at Crosstown Concourse is having some issues. You got stuff down, internet down, the signal lights out in front of the building out here. Stuff going on in the building. Half the building is out, from what I am to understand as well. So we're trying to man through this, and I have some guests that will be calling in, and I actually have one in studio with me that we'll be bringing on in just a few minutes. I'm waiting for Ron Redwing to come. He is the organizer of an organization called SOS, or Save Our Schools. If you just joining us, tomorrow is the day that that amendment will be taken to the floor of the legislature. And I think I got my phone call now, and let's go to it and see if he's there. Ron Redwing, are you there, my friend? Ron, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
How you doing tonight?
Doing fine. How are you?
I'm doing okay. I put it on speaker, should I? Can you hear me? Can you hear me better? Can you hear me okay now?
Hey, Chip,
Hey,
you're breaking up pretty good.
I'm breaking up. Oh man, I hate hearing.
Okay, I can hear you now.
Okay, very good. Well, Ron, first of all, man, thank you for taking the time to come on tonight. I know you have a busy agenda. I know it's been a busy day for you, and you guys are headed out of town. We'll talk more about that in just a minute. Why was it important for you to organize this group, SOS, Save Our Schools, in light of recent developments?
Well, first of all, Chip, thanks for having me on, and it's always good talking with you. We
Yes.
certainly appreciate everything you're doing in the community. But it was important
Hello?
strong message. Can you hear me, Chip?
I got you. Good. I got you now. You kind of faded out on me for a minute, but you're okay now. Go ahead.
I think it's your end, but
Okay.
it was important for us to start this organization because we needed to send a strong message to Nashville that first of all we care about our kids and our students, and secondly that we vehemently opposed the so-called state takeover because we believe that issues that we have that we need to self-correct,
Yeah.
that we can self-correct, and that decisions that are going to be made about our children, our students, our school system need to be made by those who are elected here locally and not selected by anyone in Nashville or anywhere else for that matter.
You, you know, Ron. This is an important component, and I heard your press conference earlier this afternoon. What is your biggest concern in reference to the state possible takeover of our school district?
First of all, let me be clear. There are a lot of concerns, but first and foremost, uh, this system, this district, this democracy was set up to operate under certain parameters. And the citizens of Memphis and of the various school districts have an option if they don't like or they don't agree or if they feel they need different leadership, they have the ability to vote that representative out. And they should.
Okay.
Let me be clear. They should. That's their prerogative. But what we don't need is to get involved in this slippery slope. And all of a sudden, because somebody in Nashville see an opportunity to take over an entity or to replace duly elected officials, decide that they want to get rid of them, then that's problematic. That's for starters. So we have elections, not selections. There's a reason. There's a lot of people in office that I don't like, but I don't get to decide to kick them out.
Right.
There's a lot of people I don't like in office.
Yeah. So, what do you hope that you will accomplish in terms of individuals making a march on Nashville and the State House tomorrow? What are you hoping the message will be, that the message will be sent to the legislators?
The message is going to be clear. We oppose this takeover. We have outlined to Nashville and to the so-called leaders what we anticipate doing here locally in terms of holding this board accountable with working with the county commission.
Right.
We have outlined individuals who can serve in these various roles from an advisory capacity. But this has not been any dialogue. This has not been a conversation about what we want, what we expect. Perhaps if there was a conversation about what the plans were and what we were looking at, and it wasn't one-sided, there could have been a different kind of conversation. And we reached out and we offered that to no avail. And so tomorrow we're going to be loud and clear and send a strong message to Nashville that we're not going to take it sitting down, that we're serious about making the decisions in our community. And we're going to hold all of our elected officials accountable, not just the school board. That goes for the Shelby County Commission and the Memphis City Council and all elected officials, as we should. And so what you saw today was a coalition of faith leaders who have stepped up and stepped out and said we need to be more involved in this process.
Yeah.
We shouldn't have to be, because we should be electing officials who are about the business of doing the business. But if we have to get involved in the electoral process, the election process, then damn it, we will.
So before I let you go, what is the message that you have for our community as a whole, Ron? You know, a lot of times we become lackadaisical and quiet about certain things, you know, that we need to raise our voices about, as you are doing with this organization. But for Memphis and Shelby County as a whole, anybody who might be listening to this broadcast right now, what is your message for all of us as a community in terms of the fight and what we need to do moving forward?
Chip, that is a very good question, and I'm glad you asked it. First of all, we need to get engaged, and I mean ultra, super engaged, especially with the school board. You know, we often say that young people, children, are our most precious resource, but we need people to get engaged. We need people to become knowledgeable about what's happening. And I'd be the first to say, and I hold myself accountable, I've not been as involved as I should be in this process. So I, first of all, start with myself. But secondly, I say people need to understand what's at stake. Now, am I here saying that things are perfect and that things are all right? I'm going to quote my good friend, Bishop Linwood Dillard, who stated tonight, we don't need a takeover, we need a makeover. And that's exactly what we need to do here. We need to reset the table. I mean, we need to look at governance and accountability.
Yeah.
And we need to hold ourselves, the elected officials, and as you asked about the community, as a community, we need to say what we want and what we expect. And if we don't get it, we need to throw them out of office from anybody. And it's just not for the school board. There are a lot of things going on across the board. Whether it's, as I said, over at Shelby County government, we got folk representing folk out of South Memphis, out of Orange Mound, inviting the district to be taken over by Nashville, when we know that Black children fare far worse when districts are acquired or taken over by state-ran districts. We've seen this here in Memphis with the ASD. The state does not do a good job at running education or schools. So we need to understand, Chip, what that looks like.
Okay.
And we need to be about the business of making the difference. And if our leadership is not going to be responsive and make the kind of positive decisions for positive outcomes for our young people, we're moving on. And we're going to find people who will do that. And, you know, I admire the parties that hold their elected officials accountable, and where they recognize if you're not following what we're asking, there's going to be repercussions and consequences.
So
and there should be consequences.
Right. So before I let you go, if anybody's interested in joining you tomorrow, please give them the information if you can, in terms of you headed up to Nashville tomorrow.
Yeah, so I know it's a late notice. I'll still share the information. I'm trying to pull it up. Chip, I knew you were going to ask that question, but I got my wires switched up here. Hold on, let me pull the flyer up.
Okay, that's fine.
So the bus is going to leave tomorrow morning at 5 a.m. It's going to depart from 6727 Raleigh LaGrange Road.
Okay.
6727. And the committee meeting will start at 9 a.m. in case you choose to drive. Get there by 9 a.m. and I'd say get there early because no longer can you stand on the walls. So you probably want to be there no later than 8:30 for the meeting, but that's Nashville, Tennessee.
Okay.
And so definitely plan to come or tune in.
Ron, I really appreciate you as a person, and I appreciate you leading this effort, this community effort to get folks fired up and engaged in the process. I wish you nothing but the best of luck tomorrow. I hope things go as you hoped for them to go, and we'll all have to sit back now and wait and see what happens with this process. But I really appreciate your time, my friend. Thank you so much.
Hey, thank you, Chip. We appreciate all the work you're doing.
All right, man. Take care and be safe on the road. Thank you, man.
All right.
Yes, sir. Well, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Ron Redwing. And again, you heard the fire in his voice. You heard the passion in his voice. This is a serious issue. This takeover effort will be presented to the House of the House up in Nashville tomorrow. As he said, tomorrow morning, the committee meeting started at 9 a.m. So yeah, it's not about, well, is it going to happen? No, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. And Representative White has already gotten pre-approval from the governor and from the House and Senate leadership up there. So what do you think is going to happen? I mean, if you want to fight, and if you think it's worth the fight, you might as well get into the battle. Let's take a quick break, one quick break, and then we're going to bring back my next guest. We're going to talk a little bit about the Pastor Ricky Floyd murder and the charges, and kind of explain and walk a little bit through that with a very prominent attorney here in our city. This is Real Talk Memphis. I'm Chip. Don't go away. Quick one, right back.
If you like Real Talk, here's a way you can get involved. Do you have a show topic idea or suggestion? Want to be considered a guest or have a guest idea? Then send Chip a message on his Real Talk show page and you can be a part of the Real Talk experience. So as he always says, go out and tell somebody. We'll be right back.
Want to make a big impact without getting lost in a big system? Join youth villages to be a force for families while becoming part of one. Help make positive changes on a national scale, one community at a time. It takes a family to transform lives. Start with yours. You can apply at youthvillages.org/careers.
Get Real Talk on the TuneIn mobile app under WYXR, and he's now streaming live on Facebook. And you can also catch a rebroadcast on YouTube. Just put WYXR in the search box and hit subscribe. Now back to more Real Talk with Chip Washington.
And welcome back to Real Talk Memphis on this Monday evening. Chip with you. And again, if you are trying to find us on social media, don't worry about it. You can't do it. No Facebook Live tonight, no Zoom tonight. They're having some internet problems here at the building, but we are live on 91.7 FM WYXR. And we talked about this at the top of the show, the tragic shooting death of Pastor Ricky Floyd. That happened last week. Of course, a 42-year-old female was charged in that crime, and she was charged with voluntary manslaughter. She sits in at Jail East with a $100,000 bond on her right now. But a lot of folks have had questions about the charges. The charge was voluntary manslaughter. And I thought that because there seemed to be some confusion in reference to these certain charges and what constitutes a charge, I wanted to bring in a legal expert to kind of explain that to us now. And we have one in studio, a very prominent attorney here in our city. Michael Working is sitting Mike's side with me. And it's good to see you, Mike. Thanks for coming in. Appreciate you, man.
Well, thanks for having me. There's a big St. Patrick's Day parade shutting down the block of my office, so
wow.
I needed a place to seek some shelter tonight.
There you go, and he's seeking it with us for a few minutes this evening. So, Mike, based on everything that has happened, of course, the tragic events of last weekend, the charges that were issued. Voluntary manslaughter, and if you look all over the social media, people are, well, it should have been murder, and why wasn't it this, and why wasn't it that? So I wanted to get you in here to kind of break this down for us and what constitutes what charge. So let's start with the charge that was issued in this case, which is voluntary manslaughter. How, by description, would you lay that out?
Voluntary manslaughter in Tennessee is defined as the knowing killing of another person where there's a presence of adequate provocation by the deceased.
Okay.
The textbook example they teach everybody in law school is someone comes home and finds their spouse in bed with another person and, kind of goes nuts and loses it and shoots everybody. Mm-hmm. That's the textbook voluntary manslaughter. Voluntary manslaughter also pops up a lot in situations that are described, such as the facts in this case of bar fights, where it might be one person started it and another person finishes it, which is exactly how the charging documents in this case read.
So having said that, so basically it wasn't a premeditated thing. It was something. So, and I saw the term.
Correct.
I guess you must have said it. She might have feared for her life. And this was something that she needed to do to protect herself. Is that what you're?
So the word you just used was premeditation. And premeditation, planning it out, an assassination, like a drive-by shooting, that is first-degree murder, where you plan it out, you have time to cool off, and then you still go through with it. That is a planned-out killing. Voluntary manslaughter is not planned out. It's something that happens. If you pull out a gun and shoot at someone, it is a knowing killing. You know that you might kill someone when you shoot a gun at them, right? Mm-hmm. But there's this extra element that makes it different from second-degree murder, where there was adequate provocation by the deceased. As to what adequate provocation is, sometimes there's a parent who finds out that an adult is molesting their kids and takes the law into their own hands. Mm-hmm. Adequate provocation can be all kinds of things. But it's basically, to be overly blunt about what a manslaughter is somebody probably deserved it to some degree.
So when we hear that term, and we also hear the term involuntary manslaughter as well, how do you break that down?
Involuntary manslaughter is not a recognized crime in Tennessee. We don't even have that.
Oh.
Involuntary manslaughter is you killed somebody but you didn't mean to. Other states have that. We don't have that. What we have is something like reckless homicide, which is likely to be raised by the officers in the Tyree Nichols case. That you did something that's so reckless, you had a total disregard for the safety of the other person to the point where it's likely that you could kill them. That's a reckless homicide. And, they beat that man to the point that, you could kill somebody. It was so reckless.
Yeah.
But we don't have involuntary manslaughter. Probably the closest we have to what most states call involuntary manslaughter is a reckless homicide.
You mentioned second-degree murder.
Right.
And that is?
That is knowing killing of another, but without premeditation and deliberation.
You didn't plan it out.
Right. You did it, but you didn't plan it out. And really and truly, that should be the default charge. It should be, that's the way Tennessee law is written, that's what a murder should be charged at mostly. If there's something that shows it was planned out, if they bring out you want some kid in a drive-by, and he goes, "Oh yeah, we had a whole meeting about it, and there was an ordered hit, and we went and drove over there and waited for him." That shows it's planned out. That makes it go from second degree up to first degree. But if there's something that the officers think the deceased did to cause the fight, cause the dispute, cause whatever, that can downgrade it from second degree murder to manslaughter. It's a big difference. 15 to 25 years for a second degree murder if you've never been in trouble.
Right.
It can go all the way up to 60 years. Manslaughter is 3 to 6 if you've never been in trouble. So big difference.
So her attorneys are trying to get her ROR because she's never been in trouble before, didn't have a criminal record, the whole 9 yards. The bond was set at $100,000. Does that seem, if you're going to have something in this area, does that seem about right to you in terms of the
That's
signed
pretty
bond?
high for manslaughter. That's really high for manslaughter. In fact, it's really, really high for somebody who's 42 and has no record. The only document that's been made public about the case is that really the charging instrument. It's an affidavit of complaint. That's the first thing that's filed that says what were the facts that officers had available to come up with that charge. That document alleges that the deceased pastor basically started a fight or started a big argument in the bar, walked out, came back in, walked to his car, came back at her again, and then started walking back to his car, and she shot him. She stayed on the scene. She didn't run. She tendered her weapon to police, cooperated, gave a statement. Those are all factors that could lead to a much, much lower bond than $100,000.
So in this process, as things move forward and more information is out, and as the attorneys start to gather all of this, and I know it's very early right now. We don't really, the public doesn't really know anything other than kind of some of the things that you said.
It's like 2-3 paragraphs.
Yeah. And so now these conversations are going to go on. Of course, the DA, Mr. Monroy, said he didn't feel like the charges should be. I mean, the bond should be lowered in this particular case, based, I guess.
That's the DA's. Right? That's the DA's job.
Sure.
Right.
Sure,
and especially in a high-profile case with a public pastor, if it was, another person getting shot, it probably wouldn't be a $100,000 bond. I think that's a big factor that's probably putting pressure on the DA's office and the judges. Absolutely, that's a high-profile case that people are watching.
Yeah.
The other thing that's in the affidavit, she's got 2 friends with her, so she's going to have 2 witnesses.
Yeah.
That also stayed and cooperated, and she's going to have a very strong self-defense case. The pastor appeared to be by himself, so they got their work cut out for him at trial. The DA's got their work cut out for him at trial.
Quickly, before I let you go, you mentioned a minute ago, you used the Tyree Nichols case kind of as an example of these charges. I guess we're going to go to trial here, another month or so, I guess April, I think it is. I'm not exactly sure. How do you think all that's going to go in terms of the charges against these officers? I'm not talking about the federal. We already know about the federal.
That's right.
This is the state trial.
I personally thought the federal trial was going to be a much easier win for the government than this one. Second degree murder is very hard conviction to get against police officers in front of juries. And then, the elements that we've talked about here tonight. Adequate provocation by the deceased. They're certainly going to argue that Tyree ran. Mm-hmm. Other officers who were not at the initial scene, who just know he's a fleeing, suspect, are the people who are charged for the most part. So they don't really know what happened originally. They just know they're responding to a guy who got away once, right? So they're going to be able to argue that, there's adequate provocation because he ran. And I think they can also argue the reckless reckless homicide angle that, we were trying to subdue him. We didn't know we'd kill him. He's just so skinny and brittle and, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But really good lawyers on both sides in this case. Really good lawyers. So they've all got their work for them. But I think that's going to be a good trial to watch.
Yeah, absolutely that. Michael Working, ladies and gentlemen, one of the prominent attorneys in our city. Mike, thanks for coming, man. I really appreciate it, and giving, more importantly, laying out a pretty clear explanation of these charges. And of course, we'll see how all of this goes as we move forward. Correct?
Yeah, well, thanks for having me, and thanks for helping trying to keep the public informed. We got a whole lot of misinformation out there in the world these days, but I appreciate you shooting it straight.
Absolutely, that my friend. I appreciate you. Let's take one quick final break here, and we will get Pastor Keith Norman on the line, and we'll talk a little bit about the life and legacy of Pastor Ricky Floyd. This is Real Talk Memphis. I'm Chip. We'll take a quick break. We'll be right back.
If you like Real Talk, here's a way you can get involved. Do you have a show topic idea or suggestion? Want to be considered a guest or have a guest idea? Then send Chip a message on his Real Talk show page and you can be a part of the Real Talk experience. So as he always says, go out and tell somebody. We'll be right back.
Programming on WYXR is brought to you by a grant from Arts Memphis, who has invested $94 million into our local arts community to teach, uplift, unite, and engage Memphians of all ages and zip codes.
Get Real Talk on the TuneIn mobile app under WYXR, and he's now streaming live on Facebook. And you can also catch a rebroadcast on YouTube. Just put WYXR in the search box and hit subscribe. Now back to more Real Talk with Chip Washington.
And welcome back to Real Talk Memphis on this Monday evening in the city. Chip with you. And I invited our next guest, who is no stranger to anyone in this community, to come on the show tonight and talk about the life and the legacy of Pastor Ricky Floyd, who died tragically last week. Please welcome to the show Pastor Keith Norman. And it's good to have you on the show, my friend. How are you this evening?
Doing great, man. How are you today?
We're doing good. We're doing good. And of course, again, I'm glad to have you on with me. He is the pastor, the senior pastor of First Baptist Church Broad. And again, we are all, as a community, we're still reeling from what happened last week. For many of us, very, very difficult to believe. But I wanted you on because I know you and he were friends. You knew him well. You knew him a long time. And I wanted to, in my world, pay tribute to him as a pastor, as a religious leader, as a community leader. And I wanted to get insights from people who knew him best. And I'm sure, and I know that you were one of those folks. So kind of give me your thoughts as days have started to move past all of this, in terms of what you think and where your head is these days. Are you there?
I'm here.
Okay.
Sorry, can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you now. Go ahead. I got you.
Okay, yeah. When I talk about Pastor Floyd, man, I talk about him first as a friend, and then I talk about him as a servant leader. A lot of times in this present age, we know people by style and we know people by other things, but
right.
We know Ricky by substance. We know him by service. Mm-hmm. And so his substance and his service to this community, to this city, to people in general is always going to be spoken of. He cared for people, and he had a bold and audacious manner of loving anybody. He did not care where you had been, what you had experienced in life. Ricky was the guy who was going to embrace you with the love of God. And when he saw a problem, he saw solutions. He saw ways of galvanizing people, pulling them together, and saying, let's get the job done. So he's a special gift, and it comes along only every now and then that you see people who really are as excellent as what they do as Ricky Floyd.
You know, one thing that you said that really sticks out with me. He was not ashamed of the person he was, and he was not ashamed for his love for, as you say, for everyone. And he wasn't shy about if something was wrong or somebody was doing wrong. He would tell them about it, but he would also hug them, embrace them, and tell them that he loved them. He was just that kind of guy, wasn't he?
Yes, he was. Ricky is the guy who epitomizes one of the very clear things that the Apostle Paul says. He became all things to all men that he might win some, to the weak I became weak to win the weak. And he adapted his approach to reach people from all backgrounds, sacrificing his own self. I mean, because here's what happens to many of us. We can get so caught up on personality and prestige and presence that we forget about people. And when God wants you to reach people, when he sends you as his ambassador, he says, okay, you got to go hang out where they are. Sheep hang out, shepherds hang out where sheep are. And if shepherds hang out where sheep are, they're going to smell like sheep. And so Ricky came from the sheepfold. He came from the pasture, man. And God brought him into a very prominent ministry. He built a wonderful ministry with the laborers and co-laborers of his wife and his children, his family, and the people of the Pursuit of God Church. And so Ricky was a very influential guy, and he just adapted to the environment. By adapting to the environment, people did not shy away from him. He became all things to all people so that by possible he might save and reach many of them. So that's a very unique gift that people don't often hear about and often don't really recognize.
He's from the Fraser community, which, many of us know and love. Has been around for a very long time, but there have been many challenges out there. But, again, what you say is he wasn't afraid to face those challenges, and he wasn't afraid to challenge others about trying to make that community a better place. And I think about him in particular. They're about to build a new school out there in Fraser, and I know he was extraordinarily proud of all of that. But it really goes to what you say about, who he was, and he was sort of an everyman. And as we mourn the loss, and I'll be honest with you, Keith, I was out of town when this happened, but you could feel that there is a very, very sincere and really big loss here in the city, in the county that we live in. A lot of folks are really reeling from this loss. It is that big, isn't it?
Yeah, it is huge. It's not just in the city and the county, by the way. I've had colleagues from around the United States. They have been showing the interviews as far away as the Carolinas and Chicago and other spaces. And those colleagues have called me who knew Ricky or some who did not know Ricky but heard of it and offered their prayers and condolences. Yeah. But let me talk to you a moment about something you just said that was powerful. You said that in the city we have felt this and there's a true sense of loss and grief. This happens when someone who you had hope in has been taken from you. And people say, well, we had hoped, that this was kind of like, and I don't liken him to Jesus only in the sense that he is a follower of Christ, but this is like the Emmaus Road experience where the two disciples were walking and Jesus shows up to walk with them. And they start talking to him, not knowing that it was Jesus. And one of the words that they said, or one phrase said, we had hoped that he would be able to do these things, right?
Yeah.
And so they felt a loss of hope or a sense of lost hope. And I want to encourage people that hope is not lost because Pastor Floyd is gone. Hope is heightened because he is no longer with us, for us to carry on the mission and find our hands something to do and our hearts something to believe in so that we can keep the ministry and the mission moving.
Wow. Extraordinary way to end this. Pastor Keith Norman, Thank you, man, for coming on the show tonight and expressing your thoughts about all of this and being so powerful in how you honor your friend with this loss. I really appreciate you coming on the show, man, and I thank you
for
for
the
it.
time to be able to come on and share with you on tonight.
Thank you, my friend. I appreciate that. Thank you. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. That's a powerful word, and that what he said at the end there. How you are defined in life is one thing, but how you are defined in death is something completely different. And what he said was, even though we this whole community is suffering this staggering loss, we must remember what the mission is and what the goal is. And as Bryn plays us out, what for all of us, this is a time now to step up. And if you want to honor the life and legacy of Pastor Ricky Floyd, this is how you do it. You understand his mission, and now you make his mission your mission. We all have a role to play in all of this, and how we live, and how we work, and how we take care of each other, and how we treat each other as Christians in this country. So again, he will be absolutely missed. And I really appreciate Pastor Norman for coming on and talking about it. I want to thank all my guests tonight. We had a little technical issue, but guess what? We got through the show. You know what? The great ones play hurt. You got to step up. And I want to thank Shelby. Shelby is the operations manager here. She got this thing going for us tonight, and I really, really appreciate her. And I also appreciate you for listening out there tonight. The show will post in a couple of days as a podcast. If you missed any of it, check out the podcast, okay? And for all of us here, for Bryn, who's sticking around, Event Horizon is his show, and it's up in just a couple of minutes. And for lovely Lola, she's going to stand behind me even though there's no camera on her tonight. And for me, your humble host, Chip, we really appreciate you, really, really do. And we thank you. And we will be here next week, and we are out.